Bye bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Bye. Good night. Okay, so now we move on to the next session. So I believe that all of you have uh, created this small ontology that what Michael demonstrated. Because in this session, that ontology documentation that we are going to show you now, uh, that's actually that in this session we can use that output, that whatever you have produced so far. Okay, so if you have that, it would be great, so that you can try your own and you see that what you have developed. And if you don't have, if anyone is there that who really could not create it, uh, you let us know, so that we can share with you some ontology for just to try with that. But if you have created even 2 classes, 1 property, that's also fine. I mean, we can, if you have whatever the number of classes, it doesn't really matter, because the main idea is here that the understanding. So in this session, of course, that one of our PhD students, Devanjali Ben, will be showing, I mean, giving the demo at the for the local system first, and then we'll see if the time permits. I will show you how to configure that for the server presentation. But before that, I would like to give you the background before she starts the actual demonstration. So I would like to give you the idea that what we mean by ontology documentation, and why it is required, and how it's really going to be useful. Okay. And so let me share my screen, and with a small though I won't really go through the PPT, I would like to go directly to some of the examples, but still let me see that. Okay. uh, okay, so let me share my screen. Okay, that's that. Okay, so this is the one that she will be doing. And so do you see a screen with this ontology documentation? Anyone please confirm?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah, so this basically, the idea is that you created an ontology, right? Now the thing is that whatever you have, you don't see that this window. Okay, sorry, I think the wrong one is shared. Like, let me close the one other one that's creating the confusion. uh, so let me, okay, reshare my screen. Yeah, I think this is perfect now. Yeah, so the thing is that that we created an ontology, right? It's beautiful, right? And but you can understand also that except you may not think that, you may not be able to think that the others will be able to understand that, right? Because whatever you created, it's in your mind, right? It was in your mind, and just you tried to create as an artifact using some languages, like here we use the owl, and you did an excellent job. But the problem is that if you really want to make it useful, reusable, then there are we have to do little more. And this is actually the part of the ontology development methodology. And unfortunately we could not manage that in this in any of the sessions. That just a kind of idea that when we go for ontology building, whether we should go just like a random approach, or there are some systematic approaches are there, that so which we can systematically go and build up. So anyway, so nothing to worry here, because we have a couple of slides which we may not be able to present, but yes, we can share with you all those resources, so that if you go through them, I'm sure that you will get that idea. So we will share today itself. So however, that whatever that ontology, whether it is bad quality, good quality, it's all the different matters, because this is really really very subjective, right? So the idea is that as part of the ontology development approach, the ontology documentation is one of the most crucial part that we should always do, because ontology building and finishing like producing an OWL file and sharing that file with others, or depositing it to the ontology libraries like yesterday I said, say bioportal.org, which I will show you shortly, and or depositing it to linked open vocabulary LOV, that's another very popular portal, and then agro portal, and like that there are multiple by now that a lot of ontology repositories are there. So of course we have to deposit, there is no question on that. But the thing is that this OWL file itself, as you can understand, this is primarily designed for machine to process it. It's not basically that human friendly again. So because we know that this HTML has a very strong effect on the human when it comes to consume the information by the human being, right? And that's where that documentation comes into that picture, that whatever we build, whether we can show it as a kind of HTML page, right? Now let me quickly show you the some of the pages that's actually is our work only, and it's running, it's already there on the internet, it's available. So you can see the browser. No, let me share my screen once again. So I think I need to screen share. Okay, now you see my browser, right? And you see that this is an ontology, like we build it basically for ontology description and publication. Similarly, we have like here Codo COVID ontology that we were talking, Michael was talking, even I will be also talking tomorrow on this partially while we describe the knowledge graph. So this is actually an ontology documentation, and what it shows, you see here, you see like of course this is the metadata like you saw in that active tag of the protease, that where you were adding the annotation, right? So here, so here all the data that you are showing, so that's basically goes here. And then the main component that of your ontology, like you created a set of classes, object properties, data properties, but they are not really in a on a shareable space, right? Because if you share with them, so they have to download and they need some kind of editing tool or some kind of reader to read it. Okay, and that's not really always user friendly. So we need to create some kind of this HTML document, so that it becomes easy for any other person outside of your organization, that they can go through this kind of document, read it, they can understand, and they can decide whether the entire ontology to be adopted or whether some part of it can be adopted for their own purposes, for their own ontology related work. Okay, so this is what that we get. As you can see here, we have like a list of classes, object properties, data properties, and then the another important thing, which is I generally don't accept that. Okay, so let me go to the second version, that I think we have still that visualization. There, yeah, right, this is the one that also that which shows you that kind of visualization. So now you can understand that. Now I'm going back to this PPT again, so you can understand that creating such kind of HTML page, it's not so easy, right? It takes a lot of effort. You have to spend a lot of your manual hours to really handcraft it, to really develop such a page. Okay, and that's where, in fact, I can tell you that it was really not that it was there previously, couple of years ago, like say for example, when I go to our original version, this actually the page was created manually. Okay, this is the page that we spend. I know that how much time we spend in creating this page, and this one was completely created manually, whereas from the rest of the versions that we use that tool to create them, to produce all this thing that you see that. And so going back to here, so here there are major aspects related to ontology documentation, is like creating a human readable representation of the content of the ontology, preparing machine readable annotation of documentation metadata, and then creating the documentation files to be accessed as a web resource. So For that reason, basically, that now this session will be focusing on that whether without doing anything manually, whether we can automatize this process to produce such a document like here. As you can see, it's a very lengthy and very long page, as you can see here. So it basically captures all your, that whatever you have defined within your ontology, everything has been produced, and this is completely automatic. Of course, this is not the automatic. This I created manually, and then we have attached to it because somehow I didn't like the other one that I showed you, in that which we were using in our version 1.2. And this is like an automatic. Here again, it's a ready-made tool. It's called WebVowl. WebVowl, that's actually integrated with the tool that we are going to demonstrate now. Okay, so now we start with this first, the installation, and then we show you that how to work. It's very simple tool, but it has some kind of these small issues, in a sense that you need to know that, because if you try first time, you may end up spending like, I don't know how many hours, how many hundreds of hours, because there are very small tricky points are there that we need the kind of that knowledge, that how it basically works. If we understand that, and then things would be really very simple. Okay, so now I would like to call upon this our student Debanjali Ben to show you, to demonstrate that how to work with that tool. Debanjali,
Yes, sir.
are you? Yeah, please, you go ahead.
Yes, thank you, sir.
I will make you a co-host. So let me stop sharing my page, and let me make you co-host. Yeah, so you can go ahead with the demonstration of that. And one more thing, that I hope that all the participants got it downloaded. If not, please download. So Devanjali, you may, if it is your page is open, you just show that, and just you may directly get it downloaded in your C drive from where you are going to execute. So maybe that would be easier way to do it, instead of showing all the big details, right? So
yes, sir.
yeah.
Sir, in chat box, I have already shared the link from where the student can download the Vidoco. I mean, install the
Right.
Vidoco. You can please check your chat box. The link has been provided. So I am now sharing the screen. Is my screen is visible?
Yes.
So for installing the Vidoco, we need to first install Java in your system. So I am just asking you that would you have Java installed in your system?
Yeah, this is one of the important requirement, that that if you have the Java installed, then it becomes easy for you to yes, someone has answered, yes, Abhilas has answered that yes, it is installed. So then for you it would be like easy, just you need to download the jar file, and that's it.
Yeah, these are the prerequisites that Java, any updated version you should have, and the web browser server. If you want to publish your ontology documentation in your own server, then server is needed. Then proper internet connection is also needed. And these are the installation steps. To install this Vidoco, we have pre-installed this Java in our own system. After that, we will follow these steps. We have to download the latest jar Vidoco available. Check the latest release from this. I have already shared the link. Just go to that link, and this is the window. It will be visible. Are you there in that link?
Yes, so all of them are saying that it's installed.
Okay.
So actually there is nothing to install. Actually, it's basically kind of just the download the jar file. That's an executable file. You just need to just run that file. So anyway, she will be showing that. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
Debanjali,
Yeah, I
are
have
you-
installed the Vidako yesterday.
okay, that's great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So after that, you just need to double click this executable jar file, and the after double clicking, you can see the window. I mean, this window that will be pop up. Then you will think that installation has been done properly. So this much have you done?
Yeah, Debanjali,
Yeah, done.
I think that what you can do, let that
Mhm.
jar file, you show it on your C drive where it's supposed to be. And
Yes, sir.
just from there, I think you can show instead of using this PPT, let us go slowly so that they can also do
Mhm.
it side by side, right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Let's go to the desktop and do it. So you can share your desktop screen.
Mhm. So is my screen is visible? I have
Yes,
downloaded
yes,
this
yes.
Vidoko. It is here, and I have created one more folder in this desktop. It is known as, I mean, it is termed as Vidoko, and here I have just simply copy paste this executable jar file here, and I have previously worked on it. So these are the things. These are the things that are popping up. But you have to just simply double click this executable jar file. After double clicking this jar file, on temporary file, I mean folder will be created, and this is the Vidoko. I mean, is it visible, sir?
No, you have to share
Okay,
your
okay,
entire
yeah.
screen. Yeah.
Hmm.
I request others also just to try that. Okay, so that if you face any problem, we possibly can try to resolve it.
Sir, now is it
Yeah,
visible?
yes, it's visible.
Okay, okay. So participants, are you, I mean, getting, I mean, you have just to double click this Vidoko dependency jar file. It is an executable jar file. After that, this Vidoko screen will pop up. Are you there?
Yeah, I think they
Yeah,
are
I am on
doing.
the page.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, thank you. So after that, if you want to, if you want to create a template documentation from ontology file that you have already downloaded in your system, then you just need to click on this option. I have already, downloaded ontology file. This is my ontology file. This is the institutional ontology file. This
So,
OWL file I have
so all the
previous.
participants can choose their own file, that whatever today you have created in the last session. So you please use that same ontology and see that what you created as an HTML document. Yeah.
Yes. You can select any of the OWL file that you have. After that, you need to just click on open. So these are the steps we have to follow for ontology documentation. First, we need to select the template. After that, loading metadata. After that, load section, and then finish. These are the 4 steps we need to follow. So we have selected this institutional OWL file. I am just changing the name of this project to any name you can give. I am making it to institutional ontology. It will be saved in desktop Vidoko, that this file Vidoko, and as a institutional ontology. And after that, we will click on next. So now the metadata is loading from the ontology URI.
So it's basically this, all the values that you see there that suddenly occurred is appeared from that active tab of your ontology. So if you have provided any annotation there for your ontology, then only you will see the values here. Otherwise, you may not see anything there. Okay. So anyway, even if you don't have any metadata there, obviously nothing will come here, but you can always manually enter here. So for
Yeah.
example, maybe Devanjali, you can show that ontology prefix, change it, and just you can,
Yes.
yeah.
So we can also, I mean, there are some of the empty metadata field that you can see here. These are the empty metadata fields. So we are just changing this. We are just add that publisher information here. We can add here ISI. We can give some URI. So I have provided HTTPS www.isibank.ac.in. You also can do like that. And you can make here institution name, that is Indian Statistical Institute. And this URI, I will make it same. So after doing that, candidate, are you getting everything that I have mentioned till now?
Yeah, you can just maybe give a pause to let them to type
Mhm.
something by their own. So you
Yes.
can provide anything that you like. You can add your own organization, and then if you know the URI of that, you put it. Otherwise, just give like example.com or something like that. So any value, because just we are now testing it, right? How to work with this.
Hmm.
Okay.
Okay, after that, you have to just click on OK. Then you can see that it is visible here, publishers. And like that, you can add others metadata also if you want, like status. In the status, I will just remove this one. You can do like that also if you want. I will just add stable release in status, this metadata. After doing so, as we are loading metadata from the ontology URI, so this should be clicked. And after that, we will just go to that next option. As these, I mean, abstract and all those information are, previously loaded. So we are not doing anything. We are not loading anything. So we will be click on this option that add all section in a single document.
So Devanjali, here just we just
Mhm.
little bit say a few more words that see in your metadata in the previous screen that you had already this auto loaded the abstract, because in your ontology annotation page you had that abstract some kind of description like RDFS comment. So if that field had the value, then of course it will come, otherwise it wouldn't come, right? Now the other sections like you have here introduction, overview, description, references, these are probably not there anywhere so far. So here the options are two, like one is like you can load it from here, like you can see there is a button load, don't click.
Mhm.
There are options, so you can actually load as a text file, but generally I would say that better you don't do that, because sometimes you may end up with kind of empty page at the end. What I would say that let it go like this, and you will find like a empty sections for all of them, like introduction, overview, descriptions, references. For all of them you will get an empty space, but then you know that it's like HTML page. You just, because that they will create the, I mean this tool will create multiple pages, okay, and you have to just go, and we will show you that we have to just go inside to that page and just copy paste whatever the content that you want. You can do it even later also. It's not that we have to do in one go. So that's why we are not loading anything, but you will see that for those information, the sections are created. So anytime we can open a notepad page and we can copy paste our content, whatever we want it to be appear there. Okay. So yeah, maybe, yeah, Devanjali, you can proceed next.
After finishing everything in this
There
page,
you
in this
yeah.
note.
Yeah, there also you can say that about this add all sections in a single document. This is actually by default, as you could see that this earlier, those the top 5 were came with the checked one, because it is expected that any ontology documentation page will have those information. But in case of add all sections in a single document, this is really optional one. And why it is optional? Because you know that if we want this documentation to be used for the local intranet purposes, right, and we want to just share offline, then it's a different thing. So in that case, we should check mark this one. But if we want it to be uploaded on the server, so it is better we don't tick mark that, because both the cases have that kind of consequences. Like if you check it, check mark it, then everything you will see and you will be happy that okay, all the sections have appeared. If you untick it, and when you try to open in your local system, you will see that many of those sections like introduction, overview, descriptions are not available on your main index HTML page. And you would be really worried, and you will be really spending a lot of hours to find out the reason behind it. So the main idea is that mostly that the idea is that this ontology documentation that we are creating, this will be shared on the web. And hence this design, I think they have designed in such a way that by default it comes with uncheck, and because that this page will be uploaded on the server, on the internet, it will be shared. So that's why generally we keep it unchecked, unmarked, but right now we are making it marked, because so that we see all the sections are running locally. Okay. So yeah, Devanjali, you can proceed probably.
Yeah, once you are done with your selection, you need to just click on this generate button to produce your documentation.
Yeah.
So you can see that the institutional ontology has been created,
Now
this
first,
file.
yeah, maybe you can first show that pop-up window, finish it, and then you come back. And there are many other things to say. See here, see this, we were running during the protege session like reasoners, right? Like to see the consistency of your ontology, right? But now there are also the other, these online available such tools are available. So like here is one tool is like OOPS, that last one, that is you can see that validate ontology with OOPS. So they basically, this tool use that OOPS, which is also a kind of validator tool. Okay, so which checks your the consistency of your ontology. Okay, and so that's the one that it shows that everything is fine. So now you can say that yes, finish it. So you can probably, yes. So now it's done. Now you can go to this folder. Yeah.
So we need to click on this index. So our documentation has been created here.
You can make it full page. It's
Mm.
okay. Fine.
Sir,
fine.
is it visible?
Okay. Yeah. Slowly you go through that so that they see the what is created.
So we have created this publishers information, ISI, and these things we have created. So it is visible here.
And you see that this tool, go up. See, this tool does something extra also. Like say we use that ontology that was available, I think in RDF XML format. Okay, but you see on that download serialization, and I think by now you already are very much familiar with different type of serialization formats like JSON, and then N-triples, Turtle. These are the different serialization formats for the ontology presentation that we already know. Now you see that even though although we have uploaded only the RDF XML, but now this tool also generates the other alternative file, so that all these different this ontology will be available in those serialization formats. So depending upon the users, if someone is are interested to look at your Turtle file, they may go for that download the Turtle format. If someone is interested JSON, they can just download, or someone is interested in RDF XML. So it goes like that, and it comes free, right? We don't have to do anything. This tool itself get it transformed into in multiple formats. That's the another thing we see. And then visualization, of course, there is, you can see below the license that we have the visualization, and that of course it's there in the down the page. As we scroll down, that we will see that. Yeah. And then another thing that it does, you see in that introduction section, that these prefixes. So in your ontology document, you have used probably multiple ontologies. Like you go little down, Devanjali. Yeah, here. Stop here. So here the namespaces used in the document. So here you see that multiple namespaces are listed. So these are basically that whatever the namespace that the different ontologies, the other vocabularies that we have used, that are actually acknowledged here, or they are actually listed here, so that from here we get to know that who are the other ontologies that we have used. And you see that here the first one comes like ontology NS namespace prefix, because he didn't give that you saw that actually I told her also that add the ontology prefix in that metadata window, but she skipped it. She added only the publisher, not the prefix, and that's why it's getting that there is no prefix. So ontology namespace prefix, had we mentioned there into, let us say for example in this ontology INTO, so we would have get there also the prefix. But for other things, it's already, because by default this comes like only the FOP was added in that ontology. So these are the number of names, the other vocabularies that have been used in constructing this this into ontology are also listed here. And this comes again by default, it does automatically by its own. Okay, you can proceed.
After that, you can see that institutional ontology overview, that there will be classes, object properties, data properties, named individual. And here you can see that web owl visualization is not there, because we are doing it into our own system.
Yeah, so this is the idea that as I told you earlier, that it expects that this document will be uploaded online. It will be available on the web, so that it actually uses some of the other small routines, some small libraries. So it gets actually directly access to that from the internet. So, and that's why when you are running on your local system, you will not see that available here. But nothing to worry, just when we put this one on the web, we will see that it's already running there. Okay, I'll show you that. Yeah.
So these are the all the classes documentation parts.
No, maybe you can take one or two example and concretely show that what the information is here.
Like here, you can see that in country, it has super class place. The range is country, and it has members India.
Can you show one from object property and one from data property? Little up there.
Yeah.
So this is from object property, city. It has range city and IRI also there, and we'll showing that data property one also. Say for example, date of birth, has domain person, and has range, date, time. So it is another data property. So we can also go to that table of content from here. You can see the table of content is missing.
Yeah, table of content again is missing here because when you are running locally and putting everything on one single page, you don't see that like earlier I was showing on the other page, right, which is running on the web, the real page, right? So that's why that when we tick mark there, so if we tick mark and if we if we wish to get all these sections in one single page, then we don't see any such index. But if we untick it, then only we will get that index. And but the thing is that when you run that page, this index -en, then the problem is that you may not see some of the sections running. So that's I don't know whether it's a bug, but that's a little tricky with this tool. That's the information that we should have. And Devanjali, you may go little down and just yeah, just wait anywhere you can stop. Yeah, see that next to city there is one C. Okay, so that basically indicates that that's basically a class. And of course you see the further details here like IRI. So this is the IRI of that city, that entity, which is a class here. And then you see it's had super class, like, so it is basically city is a subclass of place, and it has range. So there is something, okay, is in range of. So this is basically an object property, as you can see that OP is written. Similarly, for data property also, you will see that it is written like DP. And you see also there are like, see, Bangalore, Durgapur, these are basically the instances. So these are named individuals. This NI here stands for named individual. So you see that each of the entities identity also is revealed here. And these, as you can see, that they are basically the clickable entity. Like you can click on Bangalore. Yes. So you see that this goes there. And this is where that, you know, that earlier we were talking about the negotiation, dereferenciability. These are the the idea that these URIs are actually resolvable URIs. Of course, not this page what you are seeing, but if you have the real URI, real IRI, then the softwares can actually traverse to the graph and it can resolve to that particular entity that you wish. Okay. Yeah. So anything, you go down. Maybe yes. Okay, little go up. And so yeah, so here you can see here that like Devesh Das, or like yesterday I think I was showing you that one particular, yeah, during that web protest session, that Devesh Das as an named individual, which was the which is actually an individual that that is created within that into ontology. Now if you see that all the you know the you know the properties and their values are also listed here. Okay, and you see that they are called as facts because here this is the subject node, this is the predicate node, like editor of events, and then you have the value. Similarly, the subject node is Devesh Das, and then predicate is like has affiliation, and then you have the value like DRTC. However, usually on that, you know, this kind of documentation, we generally don't include the named individuals. Generally, we generally put only the classes, object properties, and the data properties, because that we can understand that this ontology we are creating basically, I mean, this ontology we create basically for reuse purpose, right? And this documentation we are creating basically for the ontology. If they understand the ontology, then they know that what the data to be used and how the data to be entered into that, right? So generally we don't include in this documentation named individuals, but again it's the really the wish of the users. Okay, you can scroll down a little bit. Yeah, you can see that again, you know, these are connected with the other entities. Go up of that facts, only the list of facts. Yeah, here, stop here. So here you see that the in that hedge facts, under that we have these multiple facts are listed, the statements, and you see that there are object related statements, right? So where you have like, the green colors are basically showing that they are the data properties and their values, right? As like you can see, first name is a data property DP, and then you have the literal like Devesh, and like this, it has like teaching experience, which is an integer. So you see that the data that you create within your ontology, you can actually make it as a like a HTML page, and you can share with anyone. And since this is in human readable format, and these are like a very clickable, very user friendly, like we are very much familiar with this kind of technology. So you know that it would be easy for users also to understand your model, to understand your work, your ontology, that what exactly inside it is. Okay, so this is much more user friendly than going through the ontology, opening in a Protege editor or opening in a Notepad editor. Okay.
For some of these values, can we also give patterns?
What do you mean by patterns?
Like for a roll number or something like that, maybe we don't know correctly that if it is an integer, but we know it might follow a certain pattern. So can we give it that way also, the property?
I'm not sure whether, I mean, I'm not sure whether I got your question. So see this, whatever you have in your ontology, right? So that's only we are going to see here. So the way you express, like say for example, here we have given like say has teaching experience. We considered in our ontology model, the domain model, that experience can be, of course you may deviate with this idea. You may say that no, I can write the 10 years 6 months or 8 months I want to write. So in that case, of course, it becomes like a decimal, right? So you can of course decide what particular the data type you would like to use. So this all about the modeling part. This tool basically only what it does, it just transform your the OWL file, okay, the which is in maybe in RDF XML format or in Turtle format. It's just transform that entire data, that whatever you had as a like a that kind of XML RDF XML file, that it transforms into a like a HTML human readable file. So whatever you have, you will see everything here only.
Yes,
Uh,
yes, I understand that. But what I
yeah,
was asking is, in the ontology file itself, can we, I mean, I understand that this is what is basically gives you a documentation of it,
yeah,
or a more descriptive, more in a HTML format.
yeah.
But what I'm saying is, when you create the ontology itself, can you assign a data property which is a pattern?
Okay. Yes. So here that is the kind of restrictions, of course, we have, like when we defining the the properties, like you saw Michael also was showing that you have the domain and range, like, and range is basically the object value range. Now in that, if you want like say multiple types, right, not that only integer, you say that okay, it can be it can be also sometimes decimal, but either one of them, not that at a time it can be integer or decimal or anything, right? So in that kind of, in that way you can decide. But as such, like you want to give like say regular expression, no, then it's not, it's actually restricted. So you cannot do like that thing. But of course you can have multiple data types you can define. Okay, like in that case, this particular case, I said that you may differ with my idea that okay, why integer, it should be a decimal. Yes, you make it then either integer or decimal. So the user who likes to provide the value for the decimal value, they go for it, or someone is integer. So you define still the pattern, but with a constrained manner. You don't leave it completely flexible one. Otherwise you leave it just as a literal, so that any value you want to give tomorrow, it's everything will be accepted. But of course you know that the limitation of them also is there, like you cannot compute that value, right? If you leave it like a literal, like a text, so you know that string cannot be manipulated. I mean, for the computational purposes you cannot use it, right? So because if it is integer, then you can say that 10 plus 10 is equal to 2, You can automatically, because I think, sorry, day after tomorrow, when we do this Sparkle or when we do the Swirl, we will see that how we can actually even run the Sparkle queries to automatically do the summing up or average calculation, all these things that we can do. But if we leave it just like an open thing that where anything can be given, then we reduce the capability of the system.
Okay,
So I don't know that whether I understood your question and could answer your question.
yeah, so when we are basically when we do the search, we can bring in all those things
Yeah.
rather than in the ontology.
Yes, 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 yes. Because there actually you are creating the model for adding the values, right? So while you are searching, you can have multiple that pattern, that regular expression pattern that we are, of course, in that it comes when we demo the Sparkle, that you will see that we can actually write the pattern and we can retrieve the values.
Yeah, I understood. Thank you.
Any other question? Any doubt? Okay, so I think that's fine. Now I would like to know whether any of you side by side tried and are facing any problem. Is there anyone? I hope that all of you have tried this, right? Okay, it's not clear whether any of you are trying because we haven't received any reply to that. Okay, Sushmita is
Yeah,
saying
I have
yes.
tried.
And you could successfully produce the document, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, great. Now, just since we have the time, so I quickly saw that the other thing that I was talking about. So let me share my screen now.
Yes.
Okay. Let me share. Okay, so earlier I was showing this page, so we don't need. Now I will show you the same what he's just demoed, but now let me put it in a different way. So this is okay, I have in my C drive. Okay, now this is my the file jar file here. Okay, so I also do the same steps. Okay, I follow that, and I pick up my ontology. Let me shape something. Okay, I'll pick up from my page. I should have kept it there only. I also go by again with the same ontology. And then, of course, we can create our project. And let us say we give the name of this project test into, say, lab session. And this actually by default it takes into that C Widoco under Widoco. This directory is this project is going to be created, and if I am happy with that, it's fine. Otherwise, we can always browse and create this. Now, as she was showing everything, so I just I don't add anything here, and of course, yeah. And then I just keep it as it is, and we want this language like in English, fine. So we go there, and as I said that I don't change it anything here, so let it remain like whatever is there. And then there are a couple of other options that I would like to show it when you have this intention to upload this page on the web. You want to share on the web this one. Then in that case, I say that don't tick mark this, add all sections in a single document. Don't do that. And another thing is that, of course, this we can always do it later also. But again, if you know your path that where actually you are going to keep it, in that case, you can always give your path location. Like say, for example, I'm going to give this like test into say lab. Of course, this really doesn't make much sense, but okay. And this is my this is the relative path that I'm giving that. But before this NS, I have actually that this URI that which I have, like isibank.ac.in. So that's the URI I'm going to use. And then I give the directory path, that where my path is like NS and this. Okay. And then I just discard this include named individuals in the document. I don't want that because it will unnecessarily, overload the page. So I just remove them. And I want this htaccess file, because this is the file you need it for the negotiation. For the other software tools, if they want to negotiate, if the browser wants to resolve to your particular element of your ontology, then you need this ht.access file. I'll show it once we once we upload it on the server. And yes, this, if you want that web, that like here you see this page behind. So if you want like that, then it's fine. You can choose that, add link to web visualization. Otherwise, you just don't pick up that. Then include change log from last version. Of course, I don't have that any information to provide, but okay, I leave just this. And then display ontology serialization. So I want, as I was telling you, that you have multiple serialization that which the system automatically does. And I want that features. So let it remain there. And then general. And yes, so it's successfully done. So I say finish. And now we see here. Yeah. And when we click this, however, my Internet Explorer doesn't work. It has some issues. So let me open on Google Refine. And you see, I see an empty page, whereas he was seeing so many things, right? But in my case, nothing is visible, and you will be panicked, right? Because if you are doing first time, and if you have no, if you had no prior information, then you will be thinking, what's wrong? And nothing to worry about it. Because what we do, if we go back to the sections, we see that all the sections are here, like abstract, cross-ref, description, introduction, overview, references, all are here. But here I don't see anything. The table of contents, acknowledgement. This is primarily happening because that we are running on a local system, and this tool, the browser, this local browser doesn't have access to those sections when we choose, when we decided not to pick up that all documents should be in one page. Okay, so that's the logic, and that's where I think most of us actually face issues. Okay, and by the way, that actually I paid a lot for this actually to understand. I spent a lot of time in finally getting this idea, and now I see that these developers also, I think very recently they have some extent tried to clarify this issue on their website. So anyway, now what I do, so we have this now project ready. So here, right? So what we do, and we have this htaccess also. So if we want, we can even open it, let us say, using some of the editing tools that you want. So let us say Notepad, and you see it's very difficult to read. I don't do that. And what I do, I have now already logged into my system. So what I do, let me go to Vidoco, and here is my system, and I'm already in my location. So I just transfer the file, and I just wait it to get there. Yes, so it's already there. And here I can probably show you. So taste, and this is what that we have, and here is the one. And now I first would like to show you htaccess. Okay, sorry. So I'm sorry. So beam.htaccess, and you see that this is the htaccess file, and yeah, and you know that we created this path right earlier, and this is what it has created, but there is some problem. So we let me check where it is actually. Yeah, so we don't need this additional thing, so we just remove this was not required. So we have to do this little rest. You don't have to do anything unless you want to really you want it to be like index.html, but I just keep it as it is, so I don't change any other thing. And now what we do, we go to that page directly on our browser, And let me close this page, and let me say that aishaibank.ac.in/ns/ I had some, I think, taste. What is the directory name? Let me copy paste the directory name. It's a very lengthy one, so I should have taken a very small, easy to type. Okay. And now I see, you see in local file, I was seeing nothing because that's okay. I have closed that, but still we can open, we can run that on our local system first. Sorry, not this one, this one. And we see here and open with Google Chrome, and we see nothing here. But whereas when we see here, you see that you have a very structured document like table of contents. You have all the sections, but of course they are all empty. Like as you can see, this is a placeholder text for introduction. So the introduction should briefly describe. So this is by default that value comes. But again, that you know that you can just straight away go to your page, and you know that it's just a very simple, because see what I want. So let us say sections, and sorry, I'm sorry. So CD sections, and I just say list out. And then here I have like what I want, say for example, introduction section. So I know that beam introduction, and just I open, I add the value here. And this we know that right here, this is the one, and you can do it either in your local system, on your local page that you had on your desktop right here. So sections, and you open it using any of your popular editor that you are familiar with. So anyone, whether Notepad or anything. Sorry, this is in still opening in about. So sorry, my click mouse actually is not working. Okay, so here you get it in Notepad or Notepad++ or any HTML editor you like, any text editor, sorry. You can just open it, or Vim editor in Linux, whatever it is, and you just fill up the value, right? And that's it. So we get that, and you see that here we have this, except these sections are empty. We have all the like classes, like earlier Devanjali was showing, like here city. So we have that all this information here. But of course we don't have named individuals because we decided not to select them. And also we see that visualization that we wanted. We said that it was not coming in the local file, but now you see we have this nice view here, and you see that graph. We can see, we can zoom in, zoom out, and even we can see here, we can filter it out, and we have many other options, like as you wish you can explore, I think. Then export, you can export in different formats, but again these are already all available for this also for download. So you can just click on this, you get the data, right? And yeah, and then of course it also shows you like that you can select any one of them, and then you can see that descriptions of this class if it is available. Like here also you can, so you see that this is the metadata of the ontology. Like this shows that overall the metadata. Then you have the other information like date, license, the creator, the title, the statistics about how many classes and all. So that means whatever the facilities that you had on your desktop computer, you can also see it, you can share with others, that they can see it in a more user-friendly manner, rather than sharing that kind of code. Because ultimately that OWL file that we are generating, it's nothing but a piece of software code, right? And that's basically for not for human readable purposes. It's only the technical people, they can only read and understand. The non-technical people cannot really I mean, that's a very general statement, but still it's not for every person to read it, unless someone has that some background that how to read and what exactly this stands for. But whereas this HTML page, as we know that it's very friendly, we can click anywhere, we can understand what it is, their IRI, their description, their values, all the things that we get here. Even say for example, if we select some class, Let me show you here. So let's say at maybe agent, and we see that wherever even the definition is available, you see even the definition, because for most of the properties I didn't provide the value. As you saw even yesterday's web protege demonstration time, that it shows that like some 200 and plus any entities doesn't have such RDFS comment description. So it's the same ontology. So only few of the entities were described. So you see for them only, see again here you don't see that like description. So I don't have those definitions. So wherever it's available, you see that natural language definition here also that. Okay. And even if you have, say, for example, like let me check it. Or let me see that I think for like today Michael was showing some defined classes, like, and some of the necessary conditions that which we always have in our ontology. So say for example that if we want, you can see here like this is a defined class, like faculty is equivalent to like this an employee and teaches some course. So this actually again we had in a in our ontology, but we see the same thing even on our HPC. So you see, you don't miss out anything, and this is a beautiful thing that you can easily share with anyone that you want to share and let them to read, and if they are fine with that, so they can just go through and make use of it, right? So yeah, I think I am done unless there are questions. So yeah, if you have any question, please let me know. I don't know that whether again I was quite fast today also, because I don't know, that's probably a problem. So any questions? So I'm here to to answer any questions, any doubts that if you have, I am here to clear that. If you want me to repeat something again, I am ready to do that also. Any question? No? Yeah, this is our Codo ontology, that COVID ontology. Even if you want to understand this Codo, because someone I think asked yesterday or today that what is Codo? Yeah, this is the answer. That of course we have the paper also. You can read this paper also. This is a published paper. Of course, here we didn't updated it, but this is actually, if you search by the title, this paper is easily available on the web. So you can get that paper, and which explains this code ontology. But yes, if you want to understand the ontology itself, and also you want to download any of these versions, we have different versions. So you can go to any of the page and you can, okay, sorry, these are some, I think link problem is there. Okay, so these are the different versions are available. So you can even download by clicking any of these formats. Okay, and if you want to read, you can of course always go through this page by going through its introduction. It's all the different sections that we have. I think this version 1.1 has more information. Yeah, so here introduction. Yeah, you can see even the first, of course, this has evolved a lot. This description, the block diagram, that in that initial version we didn't want to use the owl visualization tool. So instead we wanted to provide our own image. So this is the block diagram that we have also in that paper, and this is the more expanded form. So you can even from here, you can understand that how the domain, this COVID ontology that we built, how that domain modeling has been created. Okay. And here, I think all of this, you will find their descriptions, because these are highly, we tried to fill up for all the entities, the RDFS comment. So that's what you find everywhere. The values are available. Anything else you want? Any doubt, any questions? So no.